Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We're just going to wait a few seconds for everyone to join. I see some folks are still joining, just a few more seconds. Okay, I think we can get started. So welcome back, everyone, to the 2023 CUNY Accessibility Conference. My name is Tanya Kalaitzidis, and I will be moderating this session along with my colleague, Siobhan Mahabir.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Siobhan Mahabir, and if this is your first session of the day, welcome to the 14th Annual CUNY Accessibility Conference, and thank you for joining us. If you have been with us throughout the day, thank you so very much. I'd like to say thank you to Troy for giving that inspiring keynote speech, and thank you to Isaac for the reability presentation. Before we get started, I have some quick housekeeping items I'd like to relay. This session will be recorded. If you do not wish to be recorded, you may keep your cameras and microphones off, which is a default setting for the webinar. You may also change your name if you do not want your current name visible in the live transcription. Live transcription is active for the session. You may turn on the captions by selecting Show Captions at the bottom of the Zoom window. If you do not see the option, select More or stretch your window wider. ASL interpreting is available for this session. Similar to captions, you may view the interpreters by selecting Interpretation at the bottom of your Zoom window. The presenter will take questions at the end of the session. Please enter any question into the Q&A. The chat will be closely monitored for questions. If you require video for your questions or microphone access to voice your questions, please use the raise your hand reaction so we can update your Zoom setting during the Q&A. We'll let you know when it's time to speak or sign. If you would like to share relevant resources or links with others, you may submit them in the information. You may submit that information into the chat. And lastly, if you're experiencing any technical issues, please message the host in the chat so our technical support team can do their best to assist you. Back over to you, Tanya.
The title for today's presentation is Using Blackboard Ally, Challenges and Opportunities. The speaker for this presentation is Andrew Marcum. Dr. Andrew Marcum is the Distinguished Lecturer and Academic Director for the Disability Studies Program at the CUNY School of Professional Studies. Andrew, whenever you're ready.
Thank you so much, Tanya, and thank you as well to Siobhan and to Dr. Christopher Lydon and everyone at Accessibility Services and CUNY for putting together this conference and creating this opportunity for me to talk with you about Blackboard Ally, which is something I've been waiting for years, and it finally arrived to our department in the fall semester. And so I thought I wanted to kind of at least informally document how it was going for our department, talk about some conversations I had with some of our faculty, as well as some of the research findings that I learned when I looked at how this was being implemented at other institutions and other pilot programs. Specifically, a study from Vancouver, British Columbia was particularly helpful, but also Syracuse University and other places. I looked into what worked for them and what didn't, and that was helpful. And then also just kind of testing things out for myself and seeing how they worked. So before I became the academic director here at Disability Studies, I was an adjunct professor here for many years while working for a nonprofit that served people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And during that time as an adjunct professor, challenges was getting documents that would be accessible in multiple formats in different iterations. Particularly if you're borrowing from different libraries and other sources. It was a big access issue. So one of the things I was most excited about with Ally is the fact that it does offer students language access to information in a wide variety of formats, including foreign languages and Braille. But at the same time, when I talk to faculty and staff, I hear, well, there's some other tools like Google Translate, which may be slightly more effective. But to me, that online, having it available as a course in the tool makes a difference. So that's one of the questions I have for our conversation at the end of my talk is, what are your experiences with Ally? Do you find the alternative formats to work really well? Have you found other tools that work better than Ally? What's your sense of that? And another thing that I was struck by in my conversations with people was, especially faculty, really enjoyed the process of clicking on the Ally icon, and it gives you feedback, which is, with a few exceptions, according to most, is clear, right? It's consistent, it's helpful, and it allows you to make corrections in your course to make your materials more accessible. And a lot of faculty expressed to me about how it was fun for them and challenging for them as well, that they had documents that they assumed were fully accessible, and they were learning new things about how to make documents accessible just by using this Ally tool, which I think is terrific. One of the things I found that I really want to talk about with you as well, and open up the floor and have a conversation about, is that Ally is a tool for students who may be, for whatever reason, reluctant to disclose their disability, or may not want to disclose their disability, so that it can be a tool which is really accessible to all students. And by making it more universally accessible, it doesn't put students in a position of feeling isolated or alienated from their peers. Rather, the tool is accessible from the beginning, which I thought that was an interesting point. Partly because as a disability studies person, one of my values is destigmatizing disability and embracing concepts like disability and disability pride and intersectionality and disability as an identity. But not everyone shares that view. And there's a lot to be said for making things accessible for everybody and allowing people every right to determine what they disclose and not. I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense. So another issue was cost as a factor, a barrier, and I don't know if that's an issue. I don't know if that's been an issue for others. Well, to me, this is a great tool for us right now. I wish that we had it sooner. I think whatever its flaws, it allows us to begin this conversation about how we can make things more accessible, and how we can also use the tool to empower students to make things, to create, to make changes, to give us feedback as instructors as to the changes that we should be making, so that we can use it as a tool for student collaboration with the instructor and the instructor collaboration with the student in the terms of making the course more accessible. And that's one of the things I find most exciting about it. In addition to making documents more accessible, I'm excited about the possibility of the student and instructor building more accessible courses together. I think we still have plenty of time to have the conversation. I have the questions in front of me that I want to talk about. So if folks want to just jump in, and then I can guide us through some of the points that I just made again, so that we can discuss those points.
If anyone has any questions, please enter them in the Q&A.
If you'd like to voice your question, just raise your hand, and we will turn your microphone on.
If there's a particular aspect of, like, this has only been going on one semester in our department. So if there's something that you guys want to hear more about, or learn more about, or something that I'm leaving out that you want to hear more about, please just speak up and let me know, and I'll do my best to answer your question. I mean, we've had faculty in our department that have been using this for years at different institutions. And we've also had faculty in our department who didn't know what it was and were just discovering it for the first time, and were unsure and uneasy about it. So we have a wide range of kind of views and opinions about it. I just gave you some of mine.
We have a few questions in the Q&A.
Okay, cool.
So the first up is, as an instructor, how does Ally identify accessibility issues in our courses?
So, and again, I'm a beginner, I'm not an expert on this, but the way that the tool works primarily is to, on all aspects of course content, whether it's written material, your syllabus, even if you want to, you can have your emails checked for accessible language and clarity. Every aspect of the course that involves communicating with the student or providing the student with content, Ally is an AI feature, right, that analyzes that material for potential accessibility issues, and it will red flag those. And so a red flag, or something equivalent to it, it's more like a kind of a rainbow shaped thing. It will show up red to let you know that there's a problem. When you click on that icon, it will then give you a series of options for resolving the accessibility issue. So it's really, it's literally in your course, and it's telling you, analyzing the material and letting you know what you can do to make it more accessible. It seems to be quite intuitive, at least for those that I've talked to. And like I mentioned earlier, people seem to enjoy using it. Like, they appreciate the feedback. They find it to be clear and helpful. They sometimes find the software isn't perfect, but what software is, right?
And we have a few more questions. Next up, Ally seems to have gamification possibilities to encourage faculty to remediate their own materials. Have you heard of any such applications to promoting Ally use?
Ally seems to have gamification possibilities to encourage faculty to remediate their own materials. Have you heard of any such applications to promoting Ally use? It's the last part of the question that I'm not clear on what you're asking. I'm not sure what the question is. I'm sorry, if you could clarify. The question was, have you heard of any such applications to promoting Ally use? I just don't know what that question means.
We can move on to the next question in the meantime. When checking PDF accessibility, Blackboard Ally usually asks if I have the source document like Microsoft Word. What is the best way to check web accessibility with PDF files?
Issues with it myself, and one of my hopes with Ally is that Ally would help me resolve that issue and give me different options for doing that. So I use an Acrobat software that checks accessibility of the document before I post it. I also work with the library whenever I bring in materials for a course to make sure that the scans they get are as accessible as they can be. And I haven't used this tool in a course before because I haven't taught with it. Next fall will be my first time ever using it as an instructor. So that will be the first time when I'm actually seeing how effective it is at helping me get rid of these documents that are inaccessible. But the feedback that I get, as well as from the studies that I've read, is that this is helpful for resolving some of those issues. But until now, I've always taken a multi-pronged approach. And that's one of the points I think is important to make, is like using Ally should be used as part of a broad strategy of accessibility, right? It should not be a tool that you think you can use as a kind of a set it and forget it. Like, it's a tool that you use as a part of a larger strategy with a range of other tools to help your courses be as accessible as possible. Because it can be all too easy to think, oh, we have this great tool, my class is so much more accessible, and forget about all those other nuances and other needs. It's just one tool. It should be used as just one tool.
And the person who submitted the question earlier regarding the gamification, they clarified by saying, if you show faculty the gauge and challenge them to get a higher score.
Right. Yes, you do. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it totally, that gamify came up a lot in my conversation because it does exactly that. And I think that's part of the appeal. That's what makes it fun. I mean, obviously the designers knew what they were doing there. And I think that's cool. It would be interesting to know how that plays out on the student end. You know, did the students have that kind of, because yeah, I don't know. But I wanted to ask the first part of that question about how it encourages faculty to make their own corrections and make things more accessible. That can be a good thing and a bad thing too, right? Because on the one hand, yes, of course, we want to give instructors the tools they need to make the courses accessible. At the same time, we don't want an alibi that lets institutional responsibility off the hook, again, which goes back to my earlier point. Ally is one tool, right? It should be part of a larger strategy. It shouldn't be something where it's like, well, we have this, so we don't have to think much more about it. But anyway, I think that was a good point too.
And some more questions are coming in. Next up, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I just saw a question that was about who is responsible for making sure the materials are accessible in a course. I don't know if Chris is still around, but my experience is that is it's a collaborative process. It's a conversation with the student who may have an access need, and the Disability Accessibility Office. It's a conversation with colleagues. It's a collaborative process. There is no central office or one point of responsibility for that. In terms of formal access requests and formal accommodations, that's a process that's handled by Dr. Chris Leiden's office. And it's completely separate from all departments. So it's not on the academic side. But that's a different thing from the collaborative effort that happens between instructors, administrators, students, to accommodate a student, support a student, and meet their access needs. That answered the question.
We have another question. How can you submit replacement documents that have been corrected?
My understanding is that Ally will guide you through that process and actually gives you step by step and helps you figure out how to do that. Now, like I said, I haven't had the hands-on experience that some of my colleagues have, which I'm looking forward to in the fall, but it seems that indeed it really helps you to address these problems. How do I do this? How do I make this document accessible? So I found that the alternative options in Ally only really work well with original content. Yes, I've heard this before, Holly. Yeah. Yes, I've heard this from other instructors, that you really have to start out with an accessible document. Yeah, but I wonder about that too. So I'm not sure. I hear different things from different people, but that's definitely, I've heard that before. Can Ally detect incorrect captions? I don't know. This is, if you happen to have the Ally tool, this is kind of where you experiment with it, because it will look at your YouTube videos for accessibility, and it will tell you, if there are accessibility issues. How do you get faculty buy-in when proposing Ally? I mean, there's a couple of points there. One, I think most of us as faculty are really motivated by the idea that we want students to learn. And the only way students can learn is if we make sure that the material is accessible to them and that the course is accessible to them. So I think you appeal to one's passion for teaching and learning first and foremost, but also, again, I think it's fun. It's a fun tool. It starts good conversations about how to improve your courses. I believe, as I stated at the end of my comments, that it offers an opportunity for students and faculty to work collaboratively to make the course work for as many people as possible. I think that reduces friction, it reduces stress, it reduces tension, and it creates a situation where students are more ready to learn, where it's easier to teach them. And I just think to me, it's like, it's a very obvious a benefit to the instructor, even with its limitations. Do you have a digital accessibility policy in place to reference to faculty question? That would be a question for Dr. Chris Leiden. That's in his office or area of expertise.
I can type in the chat.
Technical questions about Ally? I just want to clarify, I'm not on the, I can't help you with technical questions that you have about Ally. My interest in this conversation was having a conversation from more or less a pedagogical point of view about accessibility. What are the possibilities of using the tool? The ins and outs on the technical part, that is, the Blackboard Ally provides you with information on how to use the tool. It's kind of limited. I think you have to have more conversations with your colleagues who are using it, who can give you more technical advice.
There is a question. How have your faculty responded in terms of having their course being quote unquote scored? Any concerns of reprimanded due to low scores?
Well, I mean, I can only speak for myself as an academic director. These things should never, ever be punitive for faculty. This should not be about being punitive to faculty. It should be about respecting the knowledge and experience that the faculty bring to the table. It should be about having a collaborative conversation about how to make the class more accessible, how to make it work better for students. It should not be about wagging your finger or reprimanding faculty for low scores. When we talk about the gamification, we're not talking about trying to punish people. We're talking about the fun, the fun of like the feeling of accomplishment one gets when you've gotten the opportunity to improve on something. That's what it should be about. It should not be about any kind of punitive measure, in my view. And I would certainly make that very clear to our faculty.
So if I can just jump in real quick, Andrew.
Yeah,
With
sure.
the scoring, when you upload the document to Blackboard, the ally will give you a scoring base and just allowing you to fix the accessibility issues. And as you fix it, the score will increase. It's just letting you know that your document, how accessible is your document. It has nothing to do with like the way you design it or the content you have on there.
Right. Yeah, it's not, the software itself is not designed to critique, the professor in that regard. That's absolutely right, Siobhan. Thank you. But also, again, this is just a tool. It shouldn't be used to punish people or, give them a lower score on their review or whatever. It should be a tool for improving, for conversation, and not for trying to
Yeah, so no one sees that score but the person who's uploading the content. And the score will just
Yeah.
help you make your document more accessible. And as you make it more accessible, your score will go up. And it will also point out what you need to make accessible. Andrew, I have one question.
Sure.
Have you been getting feedback from other departments as far as using Ally?
No, that's a good question, though, and I do think that is a conversation I want to have with our colleagues. We're probably not going to have the Blackboard system forever, but the Ally can still go to other systems, as I understand it. We can still use it in other LMS systems. So I hope that we will keep Ally even if we go to a new system. And I think it will be very important for faculty to have conversations like this one about Ally, what the pluses and minuses are, and what some concerns may be, so that students and faculty understand that this is a beneficial tool and not something that's going to be threatening, not something that's going to be too much work for them, not something that's going to interfere with their pedagogical objectives, but will actually enhance their ability to connect with students and execute their pedagogical vision for a course so that it's accessible for everybody. And so I do think that, even just having this talk today is very helpful and it needs to continue as we move forward, because if we don't talk about how we can use these tools effectively and make them better, then we could wind up losing them. And we don't want to do that. We spent a lot of time in disability studies without this tool, and that was a shame. And so I want to make sure that we have it for the future and that others learn how to use it effectively.
There is another question, but it might seem technical. Ally has flagged a YouTube video as lacking captions, but it does have captions. How can I resolve that?
Yeah, there may be somebody with a better answer for you, but my understanding of how Ally works is that it provides you with options or how you can resolve a particular issue. And if Ally is telling you that there's captions when there's not captions, my approach would be just to ignore that feedback, kind of the way you do when you're using a grammar software and it corrects a correction that doesn't really need to be corrected. Like, you're not forced to accept the suggestions that Ally gives to you. They're suggestions. But I understand your annoyance with getting alerts that tell you you need to correct something that doesn't need to be corrected.
There are a lot of comments and resources in the chat. I just want to remind everyone that everyone has access to save the chat here. If you click on the three dots at the bottom of the chat and click on Save Chat.
Well, thank you so much, everybody, for listening to me talk about some of what I like and don't like about Ally. And I hope that I did provoke a discussion. And I wanted to do a formal presentation for you guys today, but frankly, I just ran out of time. I am so busy these days, guys. I hope you enjoyed my talk and that you got something out of it, and that you'll feel free to reach out to me. I'm going to put my email in the chat. So if you want to reach out to me with follow-up questions or anything else, you can do that.
There is one more question in
Yes,
the
please,
chat,
go ahead.
Andrew. They're asking, have you launched this system-wide or just in a few courses to start?
We are school-wide at SPS, I believe. I know that we are program-wide in our department. And I believe we are throughout SPS. And I'm not sure if it goes beyond SPS or if it's rolling out more slowly. Somebody in the Office of Faculty Development and Instructional Technology definitely knows. Oh, we got a response. It is CUNY-wide. Yeah, it's CUNY-wide, which is awesome, I think. All right, well, thanks again, everybody. I have to move on with my workday, but I do appreciate you taking the time to talk with me and listen to me, talk with me about this. I look forward to having more conversations about this tool.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Andrew.
I think I heard something from someone.
I was gonna hop in on one of the Q&A questions, but only to say that CUNY SPS has fully online asynchronous classes, so I'm not sure we could have answered in any more detail.
Okay, thanks again, Tanya and Siobhan, and thanks again, Chris, for putting this on. Dr. Lighton, I appreciate it. Take care.
You're welcome. Thank you, Andrew, for your time. Appreciate it.
Hey, thank you everyone for joining this session. We have another session starting at 2:45 p.m. and that session is titled Optimizing Accessibility in the Digital Learning Environment. So please join us then again at 2:45 p.m. And again, you are able to save the chat if you click on the three dots at the bottom of the chat and then you choose Save Chat. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you at 2:45.